Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Radha Giridhari ki jai. So this morning, we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 21. We're in the first text. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maitreya Vacha. Moktikai Kushamasragbhir. Dukulai Svarnatoranai. Mahasarabhibhir Dupar. Manditam Tatra Tatravai. Maitreya Vacha. Moktikai Kusamasragbhir. Dukulai Svarnatoranai. Mahasarabhibhir Dupar. Manditam tatra tatra vai. Maitreyo vacha. Muktikaya kushamasragbhir. Dukulai swarna toranai. Mahasurabhibhir dupayar. Manditam tatra tatra vai. Please chant. Maitreyo vacha. Vacha. Would you like to chant also? Maitreyo vacha. Smasabhir. Word for word. Maitreyo vacha. The great sage Maitreya continued to speak. Moktikai with pearls. Kusuma of flowers. Sragbhihi with garlands. Dukulai cloth. Svarna golden. Toranai by gates. Mahasurabhibhi highly perfumed. Duhupai by incense. Manditam decorated. Tatra tatra here and there. Vai certainly. Translation. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the king entered his city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gates, and the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Real opulence is supplied by natural gifts such as gold, silver, pearls, valuable stones, fresh flowers, trees, and silken cloth. Thus, the Vedic civilization recommends opulence and decoration with these natural gifts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such opulence immediately changes the condition of the mind, and the entire atmosphere becomes spiritualized. King Prithu's capital was decorated with such highly opulent decorations. So I'll read the next few verses also. Fragrant water, distilled from sandalwood and oguru herb, was sprinkled everywhere on the lanes, roads, and small parks throughout the city. And everywhere were decorations of unbroken fruits, flowers, wetted grains, various minerals, and lamps, all presented as auspicious paraphernalia. At the street crossings, there were bunches of fruits and flowers, as well as pillars of banana trees and betel nut branches. All these combined decorations everywhere looked very attractive. As the king entered the gate of the city, all the citizens received him with many auspicious articles like lamps, flowers, and yogurt. The king was also received by many unmarried girls whose bodies were bedecked with various ornaments, especially with earrings which collided with one another. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Offerings of natural products such as betel nuts, bananas, newly grown wheat, paddy, yogurt, and vermilion, carried by the citizens and scattered throughout the city, are all auspicious paraphernalia according to Vedic civilization, for receiving a prominent guest like a bridegroom, king, or spiritual master. Similarly, a welcome offered by unmarried girls who are internally and externally clean and are dressed in nice garments and ornaments is also auspicious. Kumari, or unmarried girls, untouched by the hand of any member of the opposite sex, are auspicious members of society. Even today in Hindu society, the most conservative families do not allow unmarried girls to go out freely or mix with the boys. They are very carefully protected by their parents while unmarried. After marriage, they are protected by their young husbands, and when elderly, they are protected by their children. When thus protected, women as a class remain an always auspicious source of energy to man. Om agyantamidandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha mukam kariti vachalam pangum langayate girim yalkripatamaham vande shri gurun dinataranam vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, starting the chapter. First thing that struck me, which was quite nice, was the culture, of these ancient times. And in Vedic society, was so nice that when someone's returning to a city, especially Prabhupada's mentioning in the purport, a king, bridegroom, or spiritual master, that's a prominent guest, that they're so nicely welcomed. There's pearls decorating the city, garlands everywhere, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and gates made of gold, and the entire city was perfumed with fragrant incense. And then when the king actually comes to further into the city, they're worshipping him with lamps and flowers, yogurt, and then beautiful unmarried girls are coming to welcome him back to the city. So it's quite a nice cultured thing that when a guest comes to do that sort of thing. So I thought I'd expand a little bit on that, which is a nice cultural point that we can reflect on. That when we receive guests, we should receive them in such a way that they feel comfortable and fully satisfied, and by serving them, by making them feel welcome, that they're pleased with us, especially saintly persons, because when saintly persons are pleased with us, then they naturally feel inclined or duty-bound, obliged to give something back. And generally saintly persons don't have a lot of money or something, so they aren't going to shower $100 bills on people or something like that. But it's their wealth is sacred knowledge, wealth of the Brahmins. they're blessed with sacred knowledge. So it's actually much more valuable than, whatever small service that we're doing in the material sense, feeding them or clothing or giving them place to stay or kind words or different things like that. But they're giving actually a much higher interest rate, I guess you could say. They're giving us spiritual wisdom. And a cultured person knows how to receive different classes of people, so different levels of people according to who they are. And a symptom of an uncultured person or envy means that if someone's more elevated or more spiritually advanced, or they're like very saintly person, means that we want to drag them down to our level, So someone comes and we don't really show much respect or, suitable respect, but we just say, oh yeah, it's just, so-and-so. And we more or less try and bring them down to our level and make it like, everyone's equal, that sort of thing, which is very popular in the modern day. But spiritual culture is actually very deep because nata jata jata, which means that one shows respect according to the position or the body that someone has. So if someone's born, if someone's a king, you offer them a certain amount of respect. If someone's born as a, so and so forth, so on and so forth, you offer them different respect according to their situation. Krishna. So, as I had something interesting which I studied from one of Madhavananda Prabhu's classes. It's a series of lectures called Culture of Respect. So it's all about offering respect to different personalities and how a Vaishnava should see it. So on that same platform of, how do we offer respect to different personalities, it stated that any human being is the first level of respect. So anyone who's a human, Nara Matra Maryada. So we should offer them respect because, they have a human form of life. It's quite a special thing. It's quite valuable to have. So anyone who's just has a human body, what to speak of anything else, we should offer respect. But more respect is offered to a civilized human, a civilized person. So we may not offer the same respect to, a tribe of, cannibal people in, South Pacific or something, wherever it is, as we do to a cultured, civilized person, from wherever it is, because they have some civility, they have moral values and ethics and things. So it's easier to come to a spiritual understanding. And then more respect than a civilized person is Raja Maryada, or showing respect to kings or politicians, which is necessary for a society to run. Because if we don't show respect to kings or politicians or people that are managing the society, then things just, break down. Traffic lights, don't work. You go outside, you try and drive on Grand Avenue, all the traffic lights are down, there's no water running, there's no, all of these things which we take for granted are being supplied and managed by these people. So we have to show respect in that way to Raja Maryada. And higher than Raja Maryada is Vidya Maryada, or those that have wisdom, learned persons. Not necessarily even in the spiritual sense, but if a university professor comes to the temple and we show respect in a proper way, realizing that he's even though it's not necessarily real knowledge, in the sense that it's spiritual knowledge, it's very temporary and it may be kind of insignificant, like, I don't know, a professor of one particular type of bee. They've learned all about this one particular type of bee or something. It's not really that important, but they're still a learned person. They have intelligence, so they can understand higher subject matters. So if they come to the temple and we show respect and appreciate that, then actually others will see that and they'll understand. The devotees are cultured people. They know actually how they know how to offer respect to persons according to their qualifications, according to their position. So then higher than Vidya Maryada is Sadguna Maryada, which means one that has good qualities, because one can be very learned and be doing all sorts of nonsense. One can be a professor or this or that, but they commit all sorts of abominable activities. Madhavananda Prabhu actually says that in the lecture. He had a very funny experience with one professor, like a pundit. He was invited to, Madhavananda Prabhu was invited to speak at a, what's the name of it? Like a sadhu samaj, like a gathering of sadhu samaj, like a gathering of sadhus. And there was going to be a lot of politicians there, and thousands and thousands of people. So he was invited to speak there, and they had invited also another person who was this scholar, kind of a pundit, and they were all these people were invited. The governor of Orissa was going to be there, all that sort of thing. And so they got in the same car, Madhavananda Prabhu and this pundit. And Madhavananda Prabhu started talking to him, and he said he was such an amazing person. He was, very fond of the Goswami's literatures. He'd memorized almost the whole Padyavali. He'd memorized thousands and thousands of verses from srimadbhagavatam. He knew the Bhagavad Gita inside out. He knew, so many shlokas from the Puranas, from all these different things. He was extremely learned, but he was still very fond of fish and cigarettes. Fish and cigarettes. And he also had a conception that Lord Jagannath was Buddha. So, one could be a very, very learned person in that sense, but still very, very addicted to abominable activities. And so higher than Sadguna, higher than Vidya is Sadguna, and possessing those good qualities. And then even higher than Sadguna, higher than one that possesses good qualities, respect is offered to Varna Maryada. So Varna obviously meaning Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana. So according to the cultured system, obviously not what it is nowadays in India, it's a perverted reflection. But one offers respect in the Varna sense. And even higher than Varna Maryada is Ashram Maryada. So one offers respect to the brahmacharis, the grihastas, the vanaprasthas, and the sannyasis, but especially to the sannyasis, or the persons in the renounced order of life, because generally they're more spiritually learned and they can impart divine wisdom, and they're also older. That's another. If one's older, generally you show more respect. And then even higher than Ashram Maryada, the highest respect that's shown is to Bhakti Maryada, to the Vaishnavas and the devotees that are engaged in devotional service. And so then that's an interesting point, because then we say, well, who's a Vaishnav? How can I tell who a Vaishnava is? Is it, they have tilak and the neck beads, and they have japa bag and they're chanting, that sort of thing. Does that mean that person is a Vaishnava, whereas, one who may not have those isn't? So, in the same lecture, Madhavananda Prabhu is saying, there's a pastime in Chaitanya Bhagavat where Advaita Acharya is praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he says that even the demigods cannot perceive who is a Vaishnava. They can't see with their very advanced senses and elevated senses of perception. They're not capable of understanding who's a Vaishnava, who's a devotee of Krishna. But he says that, he's praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that only by your mercy can one see who is a devotee, who is a Vaishnava. And that, we can't see with our rubber eyeballs, essentially. We can't, I can perceive this person's a Vaishnava, I can perceive that one's not. Yeah, like he says, yeah. With the rubber eyeballs, we can't perceive everything. We're very limited. And so that leads that if we can understand who's a Vaishnava, then we can perceive external things, but we even have experienced devotees may come for like many years. They may join the temple or for a few weeks. Like actually my first week here, I know Bhavan probably remembers, my first week here I came and I had all my bags and everything, and I had a cell phone. And I was staying in the Krishna lounge, and there was one really new devotee called Ricky. And I think he only stayed for like 3 weeks, right? He only stayed he was there like a few days before me, and then he disappeared and, out of nowhere. But he was really fired up, he was like, yeah, I want to spread Krishna consciousness, and, I want to go out on Harinam all the time, and I want to, do all these things. I want to, I'm really interested in this. I really like this. I want to study the Bhagavad Gita a lot. And he was, seeming very sincere, and he was coming to most of the programs. I don't know if he was attending like full morning program. I don't remember. But externally he looked really fired up, and he had like a lot of enthusiasm to engage in devotional service. And then in about 2 weeks, he middle of the night left and took my cell phone. He took my cell phone, and I think a few other small things disappeared from the ashram. And we're never to hear from him again. So externally one could say, yeah, he's a devotee, he's a Vaishnava, I can... Oh, really? He came back? That's far out. But, so by our external symptoms, it's not always possible for us to see who's a Vaishnava or who's, how advanced one is. And therefore that anyone that's coming to Krishna is worshipable, because they're very special, they're very rare. Like it says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhadam kaschid mam viti tatvata. That out of many thousands among persons, one that's endeavoring to attain spiritual perfection is very rare to find, one out of thousands. And then out of many thousands that are endeavoring, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. Hardly one knows the absolute truth in full. So even those that are endeavoring, that's very, very rare. So we should be respectful and understand that the devotees are very, very elevated. They're not ordinary persons of the material world. And then what to speak of one who's actually realized the absolute truth? We should show respect on a whole different platform to the spiritual master and to the advanced, elevated devotees, to the acharyas. And we all know the verses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is it Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Is it in Chaitanya Charitamrita? It says even once, someone who's once chanted the name of Krishna, they're considered devotee. Is it in the explanations with Ramananda Roy, or is that Sanatan Goswami? Kulinagram. Who's a Vaishnava? That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they ask, who's a devotee, who's a Vaishnava, who's a Vaishnava? And the first time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replies, anyone that's chanted the name of Krishna once is a devotee, should be considered. Yeah, and then the next year, the same devotees from Kulinagram, they'd come on pilgrimage, and they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, they came to visit him, and they said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, can you tell us who's a devotee? Which is kind of funny. If someone asks you the same question many times, you kind of start thinking, who is this person? What are they, So they asked him again the same thing, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that anyone who chants the name of Krishna incessantly, constantly, that person's a devotee. So then they got two different answers. They're thinking, okay, this is interesting, Different levels of devotees, Gives up bad association. And then the third year, the same devotees from Kulinakuram came back. They asked again, third time, who's a Vaishnava? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one who, just by seeing him, one is inspired, or one chants the holy name of Krishna, that's a Vaishnava. So this is describing the different levels of a Vaishnava, the Kanishta, the devotee that's not fixed. They're not able to relate with other devotees properly, or preach, effectively. And the Madhyama, which is the middle devotee, who's engaged in preaching. They act on behalf of the Super Soul, trying to be the well-wishing friend of everyone. And they know how to relate with devotees in a favorable way, but they're not perfectly learned in the conclusions of the Shastras. They have deep faith, Shraddha, but they don't have perfect knowledge of the Shastras. And then the Uttama Bhakta is the third description. Just by seeing them, one's inspired to chant the holy name. And the Uttama Bhakta has unshakable faith. So the Madhyama has firm faith, but they don't necessarily have direct realization of Krishna. They don't have, very learned, they're not extremely learned in the scriptures, but the Uttama has unshakable faith. So even if, a million things happen in our lives, for us it could be very difficult to maintain the faith, but for an Uttama, whatever happens in any circumstance, their faith is unshakable. They're extremely learned in the scriptures, and they won't fall down. But there is statements that even an Uttama, if hearing the Mayavad philosophy, can still fall down. So we have to be very careful about that. So yes, that's the different levels. And another interesting thing which Prabhupada also brings up in the purport here, that prominent, according to Vedic civilization, prominent guests considered to be like a bridegroom, a king, or a spiritual master. They're worshipped by these auspicious paraphernalia, or by respect, by unmarried girls, untouched by the hand of opposite sex, they're considered auspicious. So they're engaged in welcoming these people that are offered respect. So I'd like to expand a little bit upon that, because we're running a little short of time. So the respect that we offer to different persons. So in terms of the spiritual master, there's also different levels of respect that we offer. Not spiritual master, different gurus. So there's Lokit Guru, which means common guru, and Paramartika Guru, which means Sadguru, or the spiritual master, who we consider to be our representative of Krishna. So if we offer the same respect to common guru meaning like a king or a politician, or a manager, different things like that. If we offer the same respect, to a common guru that we do to a Paramartik Guru, it's actually, we'll commit an offense, we'll commit an aparad, because it's a different level. Like it's also said, the guru, mother is considered a guru also. So, if, our mother, or, also one should consider every woman other than one's wife a mother. So if a Mataji came in the room, and, our spiritual master came in the room, we don't show them respect in the same way. If the Mataji comes in the room, we don't necessarily, get down and offer full dandavats and offer arti and, try to wash her feet, all those sort of things. If we try and do that, she'll probably become very uncomfortable and, say, no, don't do like that. But if the spiritual master or if a greatly elevated Vaishnav, a pure devotee comes in the room, it's completely appropriate. If we don't do that, it's actually offensive. If we don't offer that level of respect. Because that's what's expected of us according to our Vaishnav culture. And that culture is the ornament of a Vaishnav. That's what makes a Vaishnav very attractive, very beautiful, is their culture, their interactions in a way that are very pleasing and very very warming to everyone. Everyone that interacts with that person feels that, he's very nice, such a nice person, and I'd like to, follow in their example. So leading by example. And I have a few more things I could go on, but I think I could stop there if there's any comments or questions.
It was Gunaraj Khan who wrote this book, Kulinagram, and Satyaraj Khan who asked the questions. Ramchandra Khan was the one who tried to make Haridas Thakur fall down, if I recall.
I think that... Is that Ramachandra Khan?
Yeah. He wrote this book that Lord Chaitanya, he wrote one sentence in the book, and he's by this, this is Madhya 1599. Lord Chaitanya said, Gunaraj Khan of Kulinagram compiled a book named Sri Krishna Vijay, in which there was a sentence revealing the author's ecstatic love of Krishna. The sentence says, Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is my life and soul. And by this statement, said Lord Chaitanya, I am sold into the hands of the descendants of Gunaraj Khan. So I guess all the Kulinagram residents were considered descendants. To say nothing of you, even a dog living in your village is very dear to me. What then to speak of others? He went on, and then Satyaraj Khan asked the first question, being a householder, I don't know the process. Give me orders. And then what are the orders? Chant Hare Krishna without cessation. Serve the devotees and Vaishnavas. Serve as devotees. And how can I recognize a Vaishnav? Please let me know what a Vaishnav is. Whoever chants the holy name of Krishna just once is worshipable and is the most topmost human being. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna once, a person is relieved from all the reactions of sinful life. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name. That's an important understanding. And then it said the next year they came back and you described what happened. Oh yeah, I wanted to just point out one thing about the kulai, in the verse that was the verse you spoke on. And it's a rare word. The kulai actually is what, when you read about Krishna wearing silken. So I was wondering, okay, do we have silk? Is he wearing silk made by silkworms?
Or silken.
So I looked up the kulai, and it's not silkworms. There's a plant called the kula, which has this substance in it that they weave cloth out of, and it makes a very nice silken garment. That's what the yellow thing is. Silken, but not ahimsa silk. And then, so what this is cloths. The city was beautifully decorated, even with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloths, spread everywhere, and golden gates like that. So it's nice to know what's actually going on.
Yeah.
I have a question. So someone says that, because in the purport it says, the people within India, even now, of course it's decreasing, but even now they protect their young girls. They don't let them mix freely.
Mm.
So someone would say, "Hey, this is like," and they say, "Oh, they're protected, and they're protected by their father when they're young, and then they're protected by their husband when they're get married, and then they're protected by their son when they become older, and then they don't." When they're young, they don't let them go out and just mix with a bunch of boys, like teenager girls. They just don't let them go out, go out on dates and, whatever, like nowadays. So someone would say, "Hey, that's like..."
What's wrong with that?
Isn't that kind of like oppressive, repressive, kind of old-fashioned, just strange? Like, what? So what would you say to that?
That's an interesting. Well, there's an example that the
where's their freedom?
Well, essentially the good quality or the main characteristic that makes that actually gives women power, which there's an example in the srimadbhagavatam, is their chastity and their purity. And I believe it's shyness, which means that if one wants to cultivate that quality, they can't just do whatever they want and associate with whoever they want, because when the particular age comes about, desire to intermingle between men and women comes up, and the chastity will be destroyed. The purity, the shyness, is destroyed, and then women don't become very. It's not a nice way. It's kind of like if you have something that's characteristically supposed to be gentle and very sweet words, and then it becomes like very rough and big and strong and like it all of a sudden becomes very how do you say, it's like something it's not supposed to be, and it's not very attractive. But there's a instance in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Do you know this exact? Her husband was cursed to die in a day or something when the sun rises, and so she, by her chastity, she stopped the sun from rising. Mm-hmm. It could be the same, but I heard it from one of Madhavananda Prabhu's classes here, but it might be that one. But essentially, it was that there was a very chaste. I think she was a princess, and her husband was cursed to die, and she, by her chastity, she prayed to Suryadev, please don't let the sun rise, so my husband doesn't have to die. And so, by her chastity, she actually persuaded Suryadev not to rise, and in that way, her husband was saved. So it wasn't by her, strength, her big power. She went and forced the sun down or something, or wealth or any other way. It's by the chastity that women are actually empowered by that purity.
When there's no rules like this and women are given their freedom, they're actually taken advantage of,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole society is disturbed, because then you have unwanted children, and you have a great disturbance among the men, because they also their attention is being taken here and there instead of being focused on one wife and actually being responsible. And the evidence is all around us.
Yeah.
You see in modern day society that there's tremendous anxiety amongst young girls growing up because of the tremendous competition to attract the boys, and it's just a disaster.
Mm.
You know, the control of that energy and the guidance of it, according to moral principles, which is supposed to be embodied in family and the elders, is essential for any real civilized society.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have chaos. You know, and that's what we have today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking similar lines. Yeah, like the family structure within any civilized society is extremely important because, after all, most people, I mean, that's, you know, they're born and they have to be brought up in a nice family, and if the women are just unchaste and
harsh,
like the opposite of, real chaste women, then low class in so many different ways, then, you know, it completely destroys the family structure. And then, as Dravida Prabhu was saying, there's Varna Shankar, you know, unwanted population, and then everything just looks so terrible. Like nowadays, it's just... So, you know, it goes like the women have to be real women, and the men have to be real men, and then there's a real family structure, and then, you know, things can go on nicely,
peaceful.
at least to some degree. We have to add Krishna consciousness, of course, but...
Yeah.
So... Yeah, therefore, there's these policies that are mentioned in the purport. Yes, any question? Yes.
You know, according to what you were saying, what Dravida said was really struck my mind is that when girls are competing for the thing, that's when things get really out of hand, and suddenly, like, the pop star girls become God to the children. And all the guys, and no one's looking to God anymore. Why look at God? There's my goddess.
Yeah.
And then everything's lost. And even the women look at that girl and say, why is she so adored? Why is she so, I could be so adored? And then even to the women, they become their goddess. So everyone's looking in all the wrong direction. And then society's lost.
And then, yeah.
Rockefeller and those guys, the big capitalists, who pushed the feminist movement. You know, they can do anything with the money, you know. And so that, okay, we want to compete with the men, so now you have the women, you know, now you've created an economy where you need both the father and mother working just to have a fairly middle-class life.
Yeah.
And then what happens to the kids? The kids are raised by strangers, you know, and it's very damaging. And the mother is so important for raising the children, the emotional thing, you know. It's a disaster for society.
Okay. Jai. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.